What's up? Today, I want to help some dreamers who feel like they are falling off and it's already April. Now, I recognize that you probably started this year off motivated. You started this year off with momentum, but now that we're in April, we're in Q2, you sense that the momentum you had, the vision you had, the energy you had has seemed to just leave you with no explanation. And you are simply wondering now, what in the world happened? And so today, my goal is to equip you so that way you get back on track, but that you also truly stay on track. And so if this is your first time here with us, I first want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Listen, we believe that any dream is possible so long as you're willing to grow for it. I don't know if you know this yet, but whatever goal you have, big goal, small goal, big dream, little dream, long-term dream, short-term dream, whatever it is, somebody's already living it. And so the question isn't, is my dream possible? Can I make more money? Can I grow a business? Can I grow a ministry? Can I build a long career? The question isn't whether or not that's possible. The question is, are you willing to become the person that can steward that kind of assignment so long as it's aligned with your calling? And so because we're focusing on becoming, because we're focused on vision, we're focused on character and building structure for our dream, we've got to talk about these cycles that many dreamers find themselves in. And these cycles are what I would describe, I should say, as unsustainable discipline. Okay. These cycles I would describe as unsustainable discipline simply because too many people focused on the changed behavior instead of the shift in identity. Here's what I mean. When you are setting your goals and you know you've put together the strategy to achieve the goals and you see, okay, I need to start doing this new thing. If you spend so much time only focusing on the new thing, you don't dig enough. It's not rooted enough, I should say, for it to actually be sustainable, because there's a difference between you looking at a new activity and you end up mentally just viewing it as a hobby versus you look at the activity and you tie it to the identity and who you become. That is what grounds you into sustaining it. And so when we find ourselves in this cycle of unsustainable discipline, we have to first recognize this is a character issue. This is an identity crisis where I'm trying to walk into a new version of myself, holding on to my old version. And as you know, you can't go into new seasons holding on to old ones. And so if I'm going to stop this cycle of unsustainable discipline and truly become and truly be disciplined in the way I truly believe I'm called to, where I'm not internally and spiritually knowing I'm called to more, but naturally I can't handle it, I must first recognize, hey, this issue is a character issue, not an activity issue. This is a heart issue and not a hands issue. And so if we're going to address this properly, we first must know what actually stops us from becoming, what stops us from truly shifting our character, shifting our identity towards the best version of ourselves so that we are no longer falling off. What I want to do today is I simply want to share with you 3 limiting beliefs that stop you from shifting into more. 3 limiting beliefs that stop you from shifting into becoming the best version of yourself, so that way you are no longer falling off. Now, these 3 limiting beliefs, they're very subtle. These 3 limiting beliefs, you may not say them out loud to other people, but you say them to yourself. And so the first limiting belief is simply this. The first limiting belief is, I can figure this out myself. Now, this is a limiting belief because all of us, regardless of how smart you may be, regardless of what experiences you may have, we all feel like, I got this. Particularly as dreamers, right? We're high performers. People look to us for answers. People come to us for solutions. And so we're used to being the source of information. We're used to handling issues. We're used to solving problems. And while that does serve us in some areas, it can limit us in some other areas. And when we're trying to make the quantum leap in our development, when we're trying to truly become the best version of ourselves, when we're really trying to upgrade our life and truly build our dream lifestyle, that same limiting belief of I can do this by myself, I can figure this out by myself, stops us from asking for help and receiving the information we need or having the light shown in the blind spots that we have. If we don't get that kind of perspective, we're only just going to be shooting in the dark concerning what we need to do to elevate to the next level. And so for some of us, we find ourselves in this season and in these moments of falling off because we don't ever ask for help. We don't ever want to listen to anybody else. And even when someone gives us advice or whatever the case is, we immediately are skeptical. We immediately disqualify ourselves from the helpful advice given. We immediately disqualify ourselves because our situation is different and unique from actually receiving the wisdom that somebody may be sharing with us. And it's all because we function with this limiting belief that simply says, I can figure this out myself, not realizing that we are basically operating like the Israelites, where we're choosing, instead of getting to our promised land in 7 days, we're basically choosing to go the long route and spend 40 years in the wilderness when we don't have to. And so I just wonder, could it be that you're in a space, you're in an emotional place where you feel like you're falling off with your discipline because you are not allowing anybody to help you? You're not allowing anybody to encourage you. You're not allowing anybody to speak life into you because they're not dealing with what you're dealing with. You're not allowing people to simply help you out because they're not as successful as you, all because you in your mind are saying to yourself, I can figure this out myself. And that is a lie. It's a limiting belief that you're going to need to break if you are truly going to stay disciplined. If you're going to get back on track, you got to first say, where do I find myself often saying, I can figure this out myself? Invite in the help so that way you can get back on track and stay on track. So that's number one. The first limiting belief is I can figure this out myself. The second limiting belief that keeps us from sustainable discipline is this limiting belief right here. Number two, this is too much. I cannot tell you, with all the people I coach and train and all the things, I hear this one maybe the most, where people will know exactly what they need to do, and it's brand new to them. They would have only done it less than 3 times. And in doing it the first time, in doing it the second time, the very next thing that they are always saying to themselves is, this is too much. This is a lot. It takes all this. And it's that limiting belief that simply reinforces in your mind subconsciously that you need to stop doing the very thing that you know you should in order to build your dream. And that limiting belief robs us of simply growing. That limiting belief of this is too much robs us of actually walking in who God created us to be. Because here's the reality. God built us to have the capacity to achieve our goals and our dreams. And if we can identify key activities that we know serve our dream, that we know serve our calling, but in our mind we tell ourselves this is too much, is really another form of self-sabotage. And it's nobody else's fault but our own. And so if I'm going to get out of these cycles and seasons of unsustainable discipline, and I want to live my life at a place where, hey, I can take on a new discipline, I can take on a new habit just like that, I must stop telling myself that new activities are too much, because you simply got to be willing to do it. You got to look at the new activity and say, you know what, this may be new to me, but it's in line with who God has called me to be. And because it's in line with who God has called me to be, I'm willing to do it anyway. So if I'm going to truly become, I have to identify, where do I find myself saying, this is too much? One of the things I often tell people is, if you want to be successful, you have to shift your relationship with hard. Shift your relationship with hard. Just because it's hard to you doesn't mean it's going to stay hard. That's why mastery is so important. That's why growth is necessary. The things that used to be hard to you because you decide to work them, because you decide to train yourself in them, they eventually become easy. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure the very first time when you were a child and you tried to tie your shoe, it was hard. But guess what? You kept going at it. You kept trying. Now, most of us can simply tie our shoes without even thinking about it. And that same concept applies to so many things. You might have thought driving was extremely hard when you first did it. And guess what? The more you drove, the easier it got. But imagine if we kept telling ourselves while we were tying our shoes, while we were driving, this is too much. This is too hard. I can't handle all this. This is too much for me. If you keep telling yourself that, you're going to end up being right. And so the second limiting belief that keeps us from staying disciplined, the second limiting belief that we need to get rid of if we want to truly get back on track and stay on track with the rest of our goals this year, is this is too much. Now, the third limiting belief right here, oh my goodness. The third limiting belief is this: I'm waiting for the right time. Now, this is for all my perfectionists. This is for all my people in analysis paralysis. Like, for all of you who feel like I don't have the right things yet for me to move. I'm waiting for the right time. And we define what the right time is. You are simply robbing yourself of your dream. If you're always waiting for the right time and that right time is defined by you, you are trying to play God in your story. Regardless of what you know, regardless of what you're skilled in, regardless of what you have, you always have enough to take one step forward. And if we find ourselves not taking any steps until we feel comfortable, we're going to be saying and singing, wait on the Lord, when God is saying, I'm waiting on you. And so this limiting belief of I'm waiting for the right time robs so many dreamers, because God will call you and you don't have the resources. So you'll say, well, I'm waiting for when I have enough money. God will call you and you don't have the connections. And so you'll say subconsciously to yourself, well, I'm going to wait till I meet more people before I start doing the thing. I'll wait till the right time. Not realizing that you are becoming your own obstacle to your faith. And so if we're going to truly stay disciplined, if we're going to keep momentum as we're becoming and growing and building our dream, I have to identify, where am I saying I'm waiting for the right time? Where am I slowing down in my execution? And how can I just simply take a small step towards whatever it is? It doesn't matter what it is. And be clear, I'm not telling you don't be strategic. I'm not telling you not to think things through. But what I am saying is, don't be the kind of person where you wait so long that 5 opportunities came and went and you're still in planning mode. Don't be that person, because you're going to look back and just wonder, man, what would I have figured out if I had actually just gone for it? And for some of us, depending on what field you're in, you see the opportunity that you could have had if you had actually just executed, if you had actually just went for it, but you allowed the limiting belief of I'm waiting for the right time stop you from doing what you know is right. I can tell you guys just a personal story with this. When you think about just, trying to keep momentum and all the things, I was in a season. For context, for those we may be meeting for the first time, I'm a pastor. I'm also a trainer and coach and things like that, helping people develop spiritually, professionally, and personally. And so, as well as I'm a father and a husband. So, needless to say, I balance a lot of hats. I handle a lot of roles. I do a lot of things. I lead in a real way. So I'm pretty well versed with this topic. These 3, at some point or another, I've wrestled with these 3 limiting beliefs, and I've overcome them, and I've seen the fruit of them. That's why I know this stuff works. But the point of this is, I remember I was in a season where we just had our daughter, Layla, and I'm taking care of my wife. I'm there for my child. Church is still going. I'm trying to grow the business and all things. But there wasn't any time for me to actually work. Simply because when, Layla's around, call it 5-6 months, so she's kind of up during the day, right? Like, she's still taking naps, but still got to watch her. And so my wife works. So when it's during the day, it's very hard to have a toddler and an infant when, you're on a laptop, because guess what they want to do? They just want to bang on the keyboard and all the things. But nonetheless, so I found myself unable to even be productive, especially the way I know how to be productive. And I know how well I work. I know how I work. I know why I work, all the things. But I just couldn't do it during the day. And I remember just literally thinking to myself, man, in order for me to get anything done, I've got to start getting up at 4 a.m. Like, in order for me to even like keep up with all the things that I'm responsible for with a church campus, with, trying to grow a business and providing and being there for my wife and all the things, I need to start getting up at 4 a.m. And hear me, I'm a former athlete. Everything in me said when I retired from basketball, I'm not waking up early anymore. But yet the moment demanded that I be the kind of leader that wakes up at 4 a.m. To be good, I didn't want to. I still don't want to. But tying it back to the very beginning of this, I viewed the identity piece of me waking up at 4 a.m. Like, who would I become if I just committed myself to waking up at 4 a.m.? Who would I become? Now, be clear, I wrestled through all these. Hey, I can figure this out myself. Like, hey, I can somehow, some way, I don't need to help. I don't need to see what other people are doing. I don't need to research it. Like, I can figure this out myself. That was dumb because I wasn't going to see the fruit of it. I found myself in this is too much when I started waking up at that time. And I'm like, man, this is a lot. Like 4 a.m., I'm tired, my eyes. But I wasn't about to let that stop me because I needed to execute. I needed to become. I needed to grow. I needed to make things happen. And I found myself also saying, hey, I'm waiting for the right time. Like, man, you know what? I'll start waking up at 4 a.m. next week. Hey, I'll start waking up at 4 a.m., at the beginning of next month. Until then, like, I'll just figure it out. And these limiting beliefs stopped me for a short period of time. Stop me from simply doing what I need to do and be productive. And so I'm telling you that from my experience, because once I overcame these, I was committed to waking up at 4 a.m. every single day. And I go to the gym and I spend time with God and I work basically from like 5:30 to like 8 o'clock. And I get more done in that time period than most people do in their entire workday. And I'm able to spend the rest of my day with my daughter. I'm able to spend the rest of my day with my wife. And now, granted, I recognize there is a level of privilege I have concerning the work I do, but the principle remains the same. You never will lose momentum so long as you remove any limiting beliefs that stop you from growing. You never will. And so if you find yourself in a cycle where you feel like I'm falling off, if you feel like your discipline is unsustainable, where you know how to start, but you don't quite know how to sustain, if you know how to start, but you don't find yourself finishing much, if you find yourself frustrated that you start and stop and you restart again, I'm here to tell you it's a character issue. And with that character issue, there's some limiting beliefs you got to address. And the 3 limiting beliefs that we went over today that I want you to think through as you are building and growing. Number 1, I can figure this out myself. Where are you denying help? Where are you denying someone or some resource pouring into you so that way you can be sustainable? The second thing, you're telling yourself this is too much. Where are you denying your own potential? Where are you basically disqualifying yourself from stepping into the moment and actually getting in the game? And then the third limiting belief is I'm waiting for the right time. You see, these 3 limiting beliefs, when you overcome them, at least now that I pray, you're at the very least aware of them. You can make changes. You can identify the lie, you can remove it, and then you can replace it. And so I hope that this time together was a blessing to you. I pray that it provided value to your life as you are building and growing. I want to extend an invitation to you because we're going to be talking about this and more. If you truly want to go deeper on what it means to grow and become in order to achieve your dream lifestyle, listen, I want to invite you to the Builder Lab. It's a 90-minute training. It's completely free. It's a free webinar that we do here at Craft Your Dream, where you're going to be figuring out and learning an execution framework of vision, character, and structure. Because I promise you, the thing that's stopping you, the thing that has you feeling stuck, I promise you, it's not what you think it is. You have more control over your process and progress than you think. And so all I'm going to invite you to do is simply join it. It's completely free. Also, if you would like, I would also encourage you, And I'd even ask you, please, to just hit that like button on this video. And what does that do? That simply puts this video in front of other dreamers just like you. And if you found this helpful, I know that there's somebody else out in the world that would also find it helpful. And so if you could do me that favor, I'd be so, so grateful. And as always, as I said at the very beginning, your dream is possible as long as you're willing to grow for it. Take care.